Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of the Naschat podcast with Senna Proctor. If you watched the first episode, you'll know already that Senna's got plenty to say and he can definitely give me a run for my money. So sit down, enjoy, Senna Proctor. So with your muscle memory thing, because that intrigues me a little bit, because obviously as in what you know from a Autograss racer, the surface doesn't only change from race to race, heat to heat. Sometimes it can change from corner to corner.
Corner to corner, lap to lap, second to second kind of thing. And that's the big thing when we were doing, when I first bought the Class 3 or the Class 7, mainly the Class 7, because the guys in the Class 7, the guys in the Class 3s are very good. But I kind of had the car I had and I was just plodding around having a bit of fun. You know, I was out of racing. I dropped out of touring cars just to budgetary issues, really. Got to July, August time, started getting itchy feet and thought, I need a race car again. Need to go do something. So went to go have a little compete in the Class 3 and then decided I wanted a Class 7 the year after. And you realise that the level that everyone compete, I prepped my car, turned up to the first meeting and thought, God, this looks nice. And then I walked around the pits and went, well, I've got some work to do.
It makes me very proud for the sport, because again, since the NEC Autosport International or whatever it's been called over the years, first added the oval side to it, and I think it was winter 2000. It might have been 99. Prior to that, we'd been going down to a little show at Brentwood. Obviously, you was still a glinting dad's eye then, but we used to do this oval show down in Brentwood, and the grass track cars, Autograss cars, used to turn up and be among the stock cars and the national hot rods. Now, national hot rods, let's face it, oval formulas, even the contact formulas, their preparation's phenomenal in it.
Absolutely.
But the Autograss cars, after 98, 99, they just went to another level.
Yeah, they do.
I look back in 97, people were still painting them with a brush.
Yeah.
By 2000... Oh my God, they were beautiful. Everything was anodized, everything was powder coated. No, I don't know, even heard of powder coating, didn't even know what it meant.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this in a previous episode. When I went to work for Paul Harvey, Paul says, "Oh, now then, boy," this is how he talks. Link from Lincoln, and everybody's a boy. Now, boy, right, I need you to nip these 2 chassis to the powder coaters. So I'm like, "Oh, where's that?" So they load them on the back of the Transit. Where is it? Coventry. That was the nearest powder coat. It was in Coventry. Nobody did it. Now, we're lucky, because even within the sport, we've probably got 5 guys in the industry, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
But like you say, you can turn up, and it's a bit of a strange thing to say. I know lads that come to our sport, and they're building a car in the garage. It might be an old one they've bought and they're rebuilt.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got one in at the moment, a young lad called Oliver Bowes. And the reason why he's worth a mention, this young lad, he's only like 17-year-old. He's done a bit of motocross and that.
Yeah.
Bought a second-hand car for all his money. And I'm not being derogatory when I say that, but he's a young lad. Probably spent 5 or 6 grand on this little Class 8. He messaged me earlier in the winter and said, "I think I bought one of your chassis." And I was like, "That's not one of mine."
Yeah.
I won't be derogatory, but it wasn't one of mine. And I was like, actually, obviously I know all the chassis builders, and because I'm a geek, I know who made most of them.
You
I tell you what year they are.
Every chassis and what every wishbone is and what every upright is. Yeah.
And I'm a proper geek. And I said, "Mate, I don't recognise it. I don't know who made it. If you need some bits, I've got a mate that can help you. If he can't help you, come to me, I'll help you."
Yeah.
It's just dropped it off yesterday to have it set up before the weekend. Mate, it's immaculate.
Yeah.
And this little car, I'm going to say let's say he's got 6 or 7 grand in it.
Yeah.
It looks $1 million.
Yeah.
And he's done it all himself.
Yeah.
He's stripped it, he's fettled it, all the bad bits. And it's cool. And I dropped it off yesterday. I was like, listen, she is a bit of an ugly duckling when it comes to its design. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that derogatory. It doesn't look like the current cars with the slopey cab and all the modern. But do you know what? He has done a hell of a job of it.
Yeah, and
credit to him.
People do. Like I say, I rocked up at Nottingham and thought that mine's. I've done a good job of this, and we're looking tidy and we're looking good. And you kind of walk down and you kind of walk through the pits to go sign on. Andy Hultby's already walking around the track, and you go, okay, I'm gonna have to work at this. And then you pull up at the line, and Andy's jumping out his car. I use Andy as an example because he's the kind of man at Class 7 at the minute, along with Cooper and Cam and all them kind of guys. but Andy was kind of my first memory and the kind of person that I'd followed and been pally with before that. And you pull up in the holding lane and he's out the car and he walks to the side of the track and he's learning the track constantly. And then you'll see him walk back to his car and drop a pound of pressure out of it and bits and bobs like that. And that's the level.
If you said that to somebody, oh yeah, I've just took half a pound out of my rears.
Yeah.
Like, are you mental?
Yeah.
But that's it. That's the key, and that's the difference between the wheelie and the proper start. And I was an avid the 7 o'clock track walk.
Yeah.
But then my 7 o'clock track walk got too busy for me because I used to get too much company.
Yeah.
So, and I remember the Nationals 2011, which was the year Andy started with me.
Yeah.
And I don't think he qualified that. He didn't qualify that year. We had a bit of a torrid start, and I did feel I was the favourite to win it. South Wales, track that I love.
Yeah.
Same track as it is we're on now, but the start line was at the top of the hill that year, whereas because they move it.
Yeah, I think when I last raced there, it was as well.
Yeah, and I got up and the fog had come in, but it was a lovely morning.
Yeah,
I was out at 5:05.
Yeah,
and I was sat on the bungee post on the start line with my arms folded, and I was planning my entry to turn one.
Yeah,
I knew what grid I wanted to be in.
Yeah,
I'd already got an idea of where I was going to qualify because I sat on 2 wins, so I only had to be smart in Heat 3.
Yeah.
And
you got the pick.
Yeah, but and my whole plan went out the window. I sat on the inside bungee post. I had a second in Heat 3. It's been talked about a lot within our family and the family involved because they all said that I'll let him win.
Yeah.
Now, there used to be chat in Autograss. You may have heard this over the years. Grandad definitely will have. But back in the day, if you won 3 heats, you never won the final. There's 3 heat
the 3 heat curse, yeah.
And I could tell you, and one of my, not only my best mates, we lost him recently, but my absolute hero in Autograss, Jeff Beresford. I watched Jeff at Yeddingham, which would have been home turf for you, but before you was born. Yeddingham Nationals, up here, Scarborough, A64. And Jeff intentionally lost Heat 3. Yeah. He finished second in Heat 3 because nobody ever won 4 wins. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, with you.
As a young lad, 2002, so how old was I? Not very old. And I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to swear today. the written warnings are already in the post. I was like, forget it. I'm like, and everybody was saying to me, I was on 2 wins. 99, I won both my heats. The Nationals got cut short. It was 2 heats and a final.
Yeah.
I won both my heats, finished second in the final. That was my first men's Nationals 99. Yeah. Should have won it. Didn't win it, got beat by Abby Quinn. Me and Abby was both in the bike engine 5s then.
Yeah.
Both Kawasaki's. Mine was a little Rover 100. Abby's was a 106. There was 3 bike engine 5s, I believe. There was Tony Wilson, he was from Kent, he's a Spalding guy now.
Yeah.
Tony had one as well, little Citroen AX with a Kawasaki in. But they banned him at end of 99. So in reality, me and Abby was on borrowed time. We're going to have to take these 8-valve air-cooled Kawasaki's because it's a 2-valve class, and we're going to have to go in class 7 with them next year. So we're both desperate to win. I was leading the British. I think I'd won the British by August.
Yeah.
Because my car had been dominant. And I seem to remember Abby hadn't done a full season of she maybe didn't do round 1 and 2 in Wales or whatever. And I was quite lucky because it was double headers then. So we used to do a round on a Saturday and a round on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I'd gone out the first 4 rounds with 4 days racing, 4 maximum scores. Yeah. Anyway, we go. So I also I didn't win in 99. Abby dusted me. 2001, 3 wins at Rushford, which is a venue that YD Autograss are currently looking at again, revisiting.
Yeah.
So went up to, because back then, again, before your time, when you were still a twinkle, we always raced on Virgin venues for the Nationals.
Yeah.
The last Virgin venue for a Nationals was Stroud Javelin Park 2004.
Yeah.
We'd been to YD at Thornborough, 03, brand new.
Yeah.
The year later, we went to Stroud, 04. And the first time we ever did a Nationals that wasn't on a brand new venue, we went back to Thornborough in 05.
Yeah.
but it hadn't been raced on that year.
Yeah.
So we had used it, but 2 years ago. And then from then, obviously, we've now gone to established tracks.
Yeah.
Which for consistency,
it's definitely an eye opener when you're on a new track that's not been raced that year. And on grass, I found out at Stroud quickly.
Well, I remember
heading towards the barrier, going down the grass, down the hill, sideways in the 7, going off the throttle, off the brake,
can't stop,
just going and going. That barrier is getting closer and closer.
And that track, the track you're talking about, Stroud's track on the lean.
Yeah.
I got in trouble for being derogatory about it. I apologised in an earlier podcast because I wasn't being derogatory about it. Because I like those venues.
Different.
But that track, where the hill was, in 2002, we did a British Championship round there.
Yeah.
So where the track is now, that was the pits. And the track was where the parking is. So if you picture the parking with the telegraph pole and all that lot, the track went round it.
Yeah.
But where you went on the left side of what I would call competitor parking, I don't like the priority parking thing, competitor parking, there was a jump at the end of the straight.
Yeah.
So we started over near where the beer tent was, coming downhill.
Yeah.
Went up the hill, right to the roadside, came down, and then jumped into the second corner.
Yeah.
What a venue. Oh my God. It was awesome.
Yeah, bring it back.
Yeah. And I'm in the same field thinking, I wish we were racing up there. Do you know what I mean? Because you say, if you got caught with the water and the grass don't really come off it.
No.
But obviously them Virgin Nationals, the Class 1 boys, obviously the mini lads were all on hackers then, but they were going out, they were coming back, they couldn't see out the mesh.
Yeah.
And was it part of the magic? I always talk about the magic of the Nationals, but was it part of the magic or was it horrid?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Is this really necessary?
Is it even fair? I don't know. I mean, I suppose the guys that won back in the day went, well, I were better than you.
Yeah.
But now...
You race to the conditions of what's in front of you.
Question for you then. First of all, first question. What's your favourite Autograss track?
Border Counties. Border Counties is the...
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was racing in the...
So the tri-oval, we'll call it.
Yes, the tri-oval, yeah. When I was racing the Bass, I had a pretty big shunt there in the Class 3. Went straight down the Armco in the final, trying to go for the lead, and I probably should have settled for third, but that's not really in the nature of anyone. Thirds. There was it was Keith Kelly and Ryan Power battling for the title, and they were jostling, and I thought, they've both, both
Before we
tight,
go any further, did
other.
you try and go around the outside of Keith Kelly?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well,
he didn't put me there, to be fair. I put myself there.
Oh, right.
They both went tight and inside, and I thought, they're both looking at each other. They won't see me do this.
The only person that runs a wider line than Keith is the ice cream man.
Yeah, so they were jostling. I went to the outside. I thought I'd pulled it off. Rear wheel took the barrier, and off I went down it. But some really good memories there in the Class 7. I always loved racing there. It's flat out track, and you can really get kind of what I would call the apron on the outside on the loose stuff, and really let it ride on the outside. And it always suited me, that track, because it was it was a bit more brave and all that sort of stuff. And I always liked
that cushion early is just
yeah, and it's when you come out of it and the go and you feel the back squat on that 7 and off you go. And I had some good shootout races there at the festival and bits and bobs, and always enjoyed the Joker lap. So it was always a good one for me.
The festival with the shootout thing brings back a fun element that we do lack. Like we all go out, we do our heats, and then we go, right, now we're going to go wild before it gets dark.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And I think they get just about everything. I'm working with Lance on the Nationals for this year. Obviously, it's on the track in the next field.
Door, yeah.
I love the mentality, and even go back in the day. I remember, I think I won there in 98 and 99 when actually I had the fastest man on grass on my doorstep, but I wanted to go and see what it was all about. Simon Bentley was the chairman. Then he'd put big prize money up, and the talk was it was Simon's money. So I'm like, I'm having a bit of that.
Yeah, you got to get some of that.
You're going to take anybody's, take Simon's. And I had the Champ of Champs there in 98. Borrowed a car, wasn't even my car. Won all 3 days. Saturday was cash. Sunday were trophies. Monday was trophies, but it was. I seem to remember it was like £1,000 for Champ of Champs.
Yeah.
But it was £1,000 and 4 tyres from Max Sport, which at the time was, he had RB1s anyway, but they were £100 a tyre then. Everybody moans now. They were £100 then. You know what I mean? And so I remember, I won the £1,000, took it off Simon in Paul Harvey's car. kept the £1,000, but promised to buy Paul breakfast.
Yeah, of course.
But gave him the tyres, so he was delighted. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's happy. But yeah, the whole border counties thing, even then, go back then, it just brought the element of fun. All of a sudden, you've just forgot. I know the Bass was in its early days then, but like now, even last year, you'll just go, do you know what? Let's have some fun this afternoon.
Yeah.
And then what they do, just to add a little element more fun, we'll put signing on in the beer tent. Because then when everyone's finished racing, everybody will have a beer in the queue.
Yeah, you got to get caught there.
We're just all talking.
Yeah.
We're just talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just makes it fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, you sat there in a class 7 and you've got a class 6 one side of you, you've got a class 5 the other side of you, and it's just a bit of fun. And then, like you say, you've got the Joker lap in the finals, which is always fun because you've got a bit of grass
and
there.
And class 7 lad, you're like, well, I've got it made, haven't I?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you go for the dirt, it's late in the day, and a 6 comes under in full understeer.
Yeah.
And then a 5 goes under him.
Yeah.
So then you got a race for it.
I remember coming over the brow and looking at my mirror, and is it Adam Brown in the Mallow car in the class 5?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, we'll be all right in this one. And I come over the brow, and then I'm like, it's a little blue thing inside of me, and you think,
and he's 1400.
And he hasn't lifted yet, kind of thing, and it makes it exciting. But yeah, it's a great track, and the like we said earlier, the family feel of Autograss, that
comes
weekend
right
does
back
it,
there,
because I always used to go the Saturday, Sunday, travel home on the Monday, stay the Sunday night, have a beer, relax, and then drive back on the Monday morning and have bank holiday with the kids and whatnot.
And even as a family thing, so because Border Counties is well known for Simon Bentley, who obviously Simon runs, or is part of the team that runs the Bass.
Yeah.
Simon was chairman of Borders for many, many years, and the Border Counties Festival was his thing. That was his baby. But obviously they're multi-generation. So obviously Simon and Louise raced for many years. Yeah. The girls raced. They both got married. Both the husbands raced. Obviously one's married to Lance, one's married to my mate Daryl, who's my fellow director. Daryl's young lad's now racing.
Yeah.
Simon's son Archie, who you'll have come across in class 7, is racing. And Lance obviously went off to National Hot Rods. We've had him in on the podcast recently. Lance went off and now he's full-time grass track mad again, 2 cars and all that.
Yeah.
But again, like you say, even the family spirit within the club, within the league, within that event, and it just, so even though, Simon will still be pretending he's giving all the instructions in the background, but I think Lance is definitely in charge. But it's, that it does, it reignites that family. I almost think the Fastest Man on Grass does.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I don't know whether it's the August bank holiday weekend that just makes everybody go, let's just.
Yeah.
But we still want to win it.
Yeah.
But what I was alluding to, and the reason for the question, I wasn't going to use Scarborough because Scarborough has been a home venue for you, been a home venue for me for the last few years. It is my local track.
Yeah.
But I couldn't use it for the question. Do you believe that a nationals on an old venue, so let's say going to Border Counties this year, do you believe it holds a home advantage for the Borders boys? Or
possibly. I mean, if you made everyone come and do we maybe won't call it a Bass at Scarborough because maybe not big enough, but if you did a Super Saloon shootout, I would back myself to be pretty on the money there. You get to race it at your national qualifiers, you've raced it early in the morning, you've raced it in March, you've raced it in July, you've been there in every scenario of what the deck
and
if
you use Scarborough as an example, it's so tricky.
Yeah, it's a tricky circuit. It's tight. It's you've got the banking coming out, and you whether you ride up it, whether you hold down
the train
low,
coming the other way.
Yeah, the train coming the other way. Yeah, which makes when you pull your tear off, you've got to get a bit of a glance. But it's I think you definitely get home advantage. I think home advantage in anything in rugby, football, in circuit racing. I go to Croft every year and seem to have a blinder, and I don't really know why, but it's local. You get a few more family friends there, and everything just feels a bit nicer.
Makes you feel better.
Everything feels easier. It just seems more relaxed, and I don't know. You always seem to have, and it's also the high pressure moments because then you've got the high pressure of everyone going, it's your home track, and then
there is that. Yeah.
You like to perform, and you do if you can deliver under pressure, then it's great.
My favourite venue, I think over the years it's become YD at Thornborough, just from a favourite, the pace of it. And I won the opening nationals there, and I won my last nationals there. So I love the place. Over the years, I can never say anything other than Lincoln Showground. Sturton on Lincoln Showground was just, it was amazing. It was just amazing. It was just a great place to grow up. Yeah, you know, and I did grow up there. We raced there every single meeting. You know, when Dad was racing when I was a kid, but I did win a Bass round there, but I couldn't win the fastest man on grass there. and I used to arrive every time like, you know what I mean, like I'm the favourite here. Yeah, I am the favourite here. My dad used to tell me he was the daddy round there, but I used to think, and do you know what? It was always an away driver that won the My dad's mate won it as a ST40. Mark Francis won it in 1984. Bit of controversy because one of your granddad's sparring partners, Roger Newbold, Roger he had an imp with like a BDG in it or whatever. Quick thing.
Yeah, always had nice stuff.
Yeah, but the saloons then, what we would call a 7 now. Yeah, Mark was in what we would call a 9 now, but it was a little bit different. And let's just remember, CGTRO League in 1984 was still going the other way.
All right, okay.
So at national level, and even if you went to York, where Roger Newbold was from, they was racing that way, we was racing that way. So when you came to fastest man on grass, we were racing the wrong way around. Yeah. According to some.
Oh, the right way around. It depends who you're speaking to, really. Yeah.
And so that obviously always, you know, created a bit of a mix-up. But like for my dad and drivers like my dad and Bob Mosley and a few others who was travelling the national circuit then and doing the big opens back in the late 70s, early 80s, we'd go to Map Open in 1980 and go clockwise. Yeah. And we'd come home and qualify anti-clockwise. Yeah. So, you know, like if you imagine a modern car, especially with quirky things I build, like if you turn left in one of mine, you'll fall over.
Yeah, they won't go that way.
But I always felt that home advantage. Yeah. So obviously, move a little bit further. Your Class 7 job progressed. You ended up buying yourself a modern Class 7. Yeah. So you travelled all the way to Lincoln.
Well, there's a bit more to that. There's a bit more to that story. So I bumped into Tom. I said someone in passing, I want a Class 7, but I don't really fit in. I'm a bit tall. I'm 6'5" kind of thing. My head's kind of in the roof. And someone said, Tom Page has a tall chassis. You go have a look at that. Bumped into him at the NEC after a few beers, let's say, in the casino, and said to him, "Do you mind if I come have a look at your car tomorrow?"
So was Tom in the indoor?
Yeah, so Tom was on the indoor and he just fully rebuilt it for that. It was anyway. I went to go look at it the next morning and fell in love with it and said, "Would you sell it?" And he went, "No, not really, but everything's sold for the right price." So I said to him, "Right, just give me a number," kind of thing. So anyway, he did. Being from Yorkshire, I knocked a little bit off and made my trip across the bridge and went and picked it up.
But he never actually liked that car, did he?
Hey, I think he just was always loved his Fiat.
Chinks, yeah.
Yeah, he just had a soft spot for it, I think.
Yeah, because we've had Tom on the podcast, and I know we talked about it, but obviously I know him. Yeah. And Tom started his Class 7 career with me, really. Yeah. He had one of our used chassis. Yeah. And, I helped him along a little bit when he was racing the singles and that. But Tom, he'd raced the Seicentos for quite a few years. Yeah. And then he thought, right, look, everyone he was looking at, whether it be Phil Coops, Andy, Holtby, Cameron, Craig, they was all in XC Works, twin Iowa cars, weren't they? Yeah. And Tom thought, I've got to give myself a chance here. Yeah.
And then you give yourself the answer. Yeah. You give yourself the answer. Then you kind of in Tom's respect, he's a great driver, and but he always preferred the Cinquecento. So you kind of, if you can, that's why I was building the Chevy 7 a couple of years later. But credit to Tom, the twin Hayabusa was beautiful. I went and picked it up, and
it put some lovely bits. It had all carbon fibre bits on it.
It was brand new. It always had the carbon fibre engine covers that were. Every single person that walked past the car, where'd you get them from? Kind of thing. So yeah, beautiful car. And then, like I said earlier, that's why I was going to build the Chevy, and I did build it because I wanted my answer. I wanted the same as Andy, Phil, in the V8 to say.
So I'm right in thinking your Chevy car ended up with Phil.
The original one did.
Oh right, okay.
There was kind of two. All let's say all the hard bits to get ended up with Phil. So end of 22, I was going to build it for 20. Let me get my timeline here, right? Yeah, end of 22, I was going to build it for 23. Got all the hard bits, the gearbox, the engine, all the bits that are hard to get, the drive shafts, all that sort of stuff. Kind of was unsure on the build. What am I doing? Am I just having a box of bits and I'll wait until I can fully commit to building a
And you obviously already had
car.
the twin engine.
I still had that, yeah. That was kind of sat there. I didn't want 2 cars. John rang me and said, I've got a customer who will take all your Chevy bits off you if you're not wanting to commit to the build right now, no pressure kind of thing, but you've still got your chassis slot and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Let it go to Phil. So Phil had has obviously had great success with that car. And then
do you think you could have done
halfway
better
through the year? I'd like to back myself always, but I wouldn't say better.
He's done fairly well.
I saw it at a race retro, and you look at it and you think, oh,
she's beautiful.
And after I built mine, when I did eventually build one, once I sold my Buster, so I had the money to then build a full new car. Ended up securing a BTCC deal back in 25, so then that never got raced.
Yeah.
So it was a work of art sat there in the garage again, and no driver for it as such. So that had to go as well. So
where did that one end up then?
Matthew Kitchen bought it in the end.
Oh right, okay.
I'm sure that's public knowledge now. I think he's been out. He was out in it last year, I think.
So that's why your welding was getting criticised.
Yeah.
On the social media post.
Not mine. But I won't react. I'll let everyone have the fun. But that was
mate,
not specifically my welding.
I'm not poking fun at you.
Not specifically my
Alan
welding.
Weston was.
Yeah. I'll comment back. Maybe go for a beer at the pub tonight, and then I'll give a little response or something. Get some courage and give it some keyboard warrior stuff.
We've already changed the subject a little bit. We got to 2025, and all of a sudden,
we're everywhere here at the minute.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, we like to go grassing, and we like to go back to circuits here and there.
There's a BTCC deal. For 2025. That's why we didn't see you. Last year. So tell us a little bit about that, and then
So probably to go back maybe half an hour, we did the Genetic Juniors, did the Clios. That's kind of all my junior career in the circuits. Kind of came away from the grass tracking and had the aspirations to make a career on the circuits. So we did them a few years in the Genetic Juniors Clios. Went into touring cars at 80 British touring cars at 18 years old. Can I ask you one question? Yeah.
When with the Clio Cup, was you part of the Clio Cup season when they ran out of body shells?
I think I must have been, because it was probably me that made them run out.
Yeah, because Renault actually officially ran out of body shells, didn't they? Because
I had a couple of shunts in them Clios. They weren't the kindest to me, but we moved on from that. I think one day we got home from Rockingham and we got up the next morning. But my dad said to me at work, "Do you like driving that Clio?" I went, "Not really." He went, "All right, then we'll just do touring cars." And I went, "All right, okay, we're in then." And he was like, "Yeah, we'll work it out. We'll sort it out." And that was it. That was the meteoric rise as such to go do touring cars at 18 years old.
With your touring car career starting as early as it did, and obviously, and then a few years out, and then back for 2020, have you been fortunate from a sponsorship perspective to keep you going through that, or has it been something you've had to fund?
That is tough. Sponsorship's tough. It's definitely the reason why I dropped out. So I competed from 2017 to 2021 in full seasons in the British touring car. So I did 5 years on the bounce, 3 years out due to budget constraints and bits and bobs like that. And we seem to have always done okay out of sponsorship over the years. But we've got to raise it yourself. And
it's always difficult when that period, and obviously with my life involved with young Jack over with the IndyCar and his other endeavours. Did you feel at that point, when that 3 year, let's call it sabbatical is the word I like to use, did you think that was it?
Yeah, that's a good question. That I left at the end of 21. I won't say bitter about the sport, because I knew what I was getting into. I knew it was expensive. I knew it was a marketing platform of which to sell sponsorship, and if you can't sell sponsorship, then you won't be racing.
But you was already a race winner by then as well. So you at that point you think, well,
do
I deserve a little bit more support?
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
you never feel you were owed it, but
you know, I think I've always, I wouldn't say missed my big break, but you know, there seems to be a few people in the sport that have had theirs, and everyone's deserved of it. But then I would say everyone that's, you know, competed at the kind of level that I did in the British touring cars also deserves it. So there's guys out of the sport now as well as me in that period that deserve to be on the grid and whatnot. And there's definitely guys on there that have had their break and, you know, their careers taken off. So we're just waiting for that big break. But like you say, did I think my career was over? Yeah, I thought, I always like to tell myself in my head that I'd be back, but I think probably I wasn't.
And it's always going to be harder to go back, especially after a 3-season break.
We kind of said this is it. It's now or never. We either come back this year or we're yesterday's news. You know, we're gone, forgotten about, left in 2021. So we scraped our pennies together and worked hard on sponsorship and got back on the grid in 2025 for a part season. Did 7 rounds, 0 testing, and literally rocked up. The first time I drove the car was Thruxton, the fastest circuit in the UK.
Yeah.
Qualified 5th after the first day in the car.
Is there a more frightening corner on the British circuit scene than Church?
No.
4 wide?
No, not now. They've got the bank in there and the barrier there. I mean, when it was sloping away, and it's not for the faint-hearted. Not when you kind of do FP1, do FP2, the free practices earlier in the morning and go, right, okay, it's all nice and dry, everything's good. We're somewhere in the top 10, and then we've got aquaplaning down the straights and a storm breaks out before qualifying. But yeah, we banged it in the top 5 there, and you know, we had, I think, 4 podiums through the year and bits and bobs. You know, we had a great season for a part season.
Well, that's from 7 starts. 4 podium. That's mental.
We just 3 years out, no testing, and every weekend was just not a test session, but every weekend we were turning up, and it was kind of like, what's going on? So we got back into it, put my name back on the map, and that leaves us where we are now, I suppose.
So, looking at you now, right, from the kid that I've watched grow up in the sport, and I knew you had aspirations to be elsewhere, but you. No matter what happens, there's always going to be some grass tracking running through your veins, no matter what. Do you feel now that you're possibly more ready? Because I noticed when I bumped into you a few weeks ago, and we had a bit of a chat. But again, I noticed this morning you're race ready for a lad your size. I mean, what are you, 6'2", 6'5", 6'5"?
Yeah.
I mean, after it gets 5'9", it's all just 6 foot to me. Do you know what I mean?
Everyone's.
But you're super slim. You look right in shape. You look like,
getting there.
And so, do you feel more ready now? Like even from a mental perspective?
I'm definitely mentally stronger. I think a lot of my starting touring cars was, I wouldn't say too young, because it was at the time I felt ready. But then when you look back, you think, you know, was it too soon? Was it not? But I suppose you get thrown in the deep end and you either sink or swim. And you know, I think I did the latter. So I think we did all right. But I think had I had my time again with the mind I have now, would we have got better results? Yeah, probably. Yeah. But I'll say that again when I'm in another 5 years' time. I'll say I wish I could have 2025 again.
You're always going to get smarter.
You're always going to be wiser. You're always going to be older and wiser. You're always going to look back at things and if I did this or if I did that, you know, everything's brilliant in hindsight.
The 18-year-old, 17-year-old wonder kids that survive tend to be the ones that have, without being derogatory, I don't mean it that way, but they're always the ones that have the financial support. So for you, if you get in a lull and you're dealing with your own finances, it's a real difficult position to get out of, isn't it?
Yeah, the young lads also have no fear, and they're all...
And no fear of paying.
They're all bred to be racing drivers as well, and they've done nothing since they were 6. You know, the new crop of talent that's coming through in every form of motorsport has done nothing from being 6. You know, you get these young lads in Formula 1, you know, Lando Norris and
Antonelli.
You know, I used to race against Lando, and you know, they've done, I won't say nothing since they were young, but you get Antonelli, Oliver Behrman, you know, Arvid Lindblad, and they're all coming through. They're all 17, 18, 19 years old, whatever they are, and they're all fearless, and they're all performing at the top level.
And it's all they know.
Because they know nothing else.
Yeah.
It's just another day at a racetrack for them, and they turn up to F1, and it's almost the perception of they don't even realise how I think they do realise, but the actual level that they're performing at is the pinnacle of world motorsport.
And the younger generation, if you take Antonelli, and he's been a pleasure to watch.
Yeah.
And Lando, who has a grass track car in his shed.
Yeah.
And I'm working on something with these guys at the moment that hopefully is going to see Lando in an Autograss car at a major event, not a grass track event, but a major event later this year.
Yeah.
They're doing it with a different mindset. If we go back to the likes of, if we use like the likes of, a kid that I know, let's say Jack Harvey, or his teammate who was Carlos Sainz for many years, they were so completely focused on only one thing, whereas actually these kids, if that's what you want to call them, they're actually bringing some fun to it.
Yeah.
So they're actually a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah, they're fearless.
Fearless and relaxed. And obviously they are also the video game era.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get it in video games.
Yeah. No. And we always used to joke that, these young lads coming through, and in touring cars and bits and all that, we've done maybe the old era now actually, but the younger lads coming through they've done more laps than us. They've done more laps than the old boys because they've been on the simulator they could do more laps on a simulator in an evening than you can on a full test day at a circuit. And it's the muscle memory, and it's just another day. So it's pretty special. It's the new era of motorsport, I suppose, and the new levels of professionalism that everyone's going to. Everyone's super fit. I do think it's
good to see them having
dialed in.
Fun though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I think it's been, albeit, I'm quite, even as an autograss racer, I'm quite intense when I'm in the moment. I'm only focusing on one thing. But it is nice to see them smiling, and you know what I mean, rather than just being, because some of these kids, like you say, if you've started a career at, let's say, 16 or 17, you've probably already had 8 years.
Yeah.
And then you start a major career, and you can be mentally broken by 19. You could, because if it goes wrong, And I use Jack as an example. He wouldn't mind me saying this because because of our relationship. But when we made a wrong decision in IndyCar, good financial, wrong team, lost 3 years, potentially. Not cost him his career, he still has one.
Yeah.
But cost us potentially a great career over. I mean, he's had a great career prior to IndyCar, but it's cost us our IndyCar career.
Yeah.
We're now part-time racers in IndyCar, and he was fighting for pole positions with the Michael Shank team, and 1 year later we're running around in 21st.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like when I came out of British Touring Cars, you still got to go to bed at night for 3 years thinking, am I ever going to do it again? And it's the battle.
For those 3 years, did you really want to do it again, or had you resigned yourself to the fact you're not going to?
I think it's an interesting one because I've thought about nothing else in my life but winning the British Touring Car Championship, and that was always my goal. I wouldn't have signed up to do it in the first place if I didn't believe or want to win it. Racing's my life, the British Touring Cars is my life. And it's the hunger to do it and the hunger to be there. And I say to people when people are, oh God, we've got to go to this media thing. It's like, mate, I've been out of it for 3 years. Enjoy the moment,
Love it.
But you feel blessed that someone's asking you for your autograph. Take 2 minutes to give them it. Spend, if they have a son with them, speak to him. Engage, because that is a fan for life, and
I don't think
we've
matters.
been on the outside. We've been looking in, and the special moments of even in our sport. Oh, Phil Cooper took 2 minutes to speak to me. Andy Hope took 2 minutes to speak to me, and the kids looking up, that can change their full perspective on everything and make them either fall in love with it or fall out of love with it.
I've mentioned so many times, and I don't think it matters what motorsport you do. If you were doing, there's always spectators.
Yeah.
So if you were doing a Mablethorpe beach race on your 1979 motocross bike, and there's kids in the crowd, say hello. shake their hand, kneel down, engage them.
Yeah.
It's so important. I remember years and years, I think I've probably mentioned it in a previous episode, and I don't mean to be sort of derogatory towards the guy because he's an absolute Autograss legend, but myself and Carl Mosley as kids went to the back of this particular car and he was the man to beat. Now, bearing in mind, my dad was Norman Ross and his dad were Bob Mosley, and they was already probably the two fastest drivers in this area, or certainly within the CGTRO, travelling the full scene and winning. You know, Dad had already won the map open by 83, 84. And anyway, me and Carl had said, I'm not going to say his name, over there. We went to the back of his car. And I remember this will give the game away to a lot of people, but probably not you, but it had this V8 quad cam Alfa Romeo in the back of it. And I remember him grabbing, throttling because you're like this big. It seemed like it at the time.
Yeah.
And he went, wham, wham. Me and Carl nearly blew us over.
Yeah.
Of course, Carl was the tall one, I was the little one, so it was like little and large show. We waited and he switched it off, and we thought we're just waiting for him to say hello.
Yeah.
Waiting for him to say, "You all right, boys?"
Yeah.
And he literally walked towards us, and we were like, "This is it."
Yeah.
And he put an hand on both of us, and he pushed us out of the way and carried on walking. And I remember, and I'm not swearing. I've made a promise we're not going to swear anymore. And I remember thinking, mate, that, and do you know what? Me and you talked about when I was looking at the F3 job in 2004, and we was testing at Castle Combe, and my friend and effectively principal sponsor says to me, "Oh, that's from Grassing." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Anyway, he came over and he said, Paul knew him. He was talking to Paul, and he says to me, "Well, there's a young face I remember." He said, "I used to race with your dad." And I went, "I remember you and all, mate." And I literally, I couldn't even engage with him. And it's still, even though since then,
it's funny how the tables turns a year later, doesn't it?
But then he's come back now because his daughter has started racing again, and I raced with her in the juniors. His grandson's racing. He raced with Alfie.
Yeah.
And he started to attend a few race meetings again. And you know what, mate? He really is the legend that I believed he was.
Yeah.
But that moment, it stuck with me for 30 years.
Do people have a racing personality when they turn up to a track? Are they turn into a different beast? And if they're in race mode, they're in a different planet at that time, I suppose. But
you need your. I mean, this was a grass track meeting in 1983. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you need your little cocoon at some point, don't you? And obviously, again, with my history with Jack, we have to lock him away a little bit.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, it's okay to be you, innit?
Yeah.
So, right, let's move on to it's not the final chapter, but let's move on to today's chapter. Here we are, we're in March.
The start of the final chapter.
2026. Well, it could be a really long one, though. So March 2026, you proudly wearing some new team attire. Yeah. So why don't you tell your fans what you're on with?
Yeah, so this year I've been entrusted with the role of reserve driver at the Napa Racing UK team in the British Touring Car Championship. So I'm there as a stand-in. I'm there as a helping test the new car that they've just developed or developing at the minute.
And you've been out testing already?
Been out testing yesterday. I'm helping out Sam Osborne as a driver coach and driver psychologist, or just helping him through the process of the race week. And I mean, he's done it for a lot of years now. He can get a car around a circuit. He's very competent. But I'm there to do the fine tuning and do all the things that he's too busy to do or think about on a race weekend. So I'm there as a helping hand to him and kind of help out the Alliance Academy as a whole. The Alliance racing team has aspirations in motorsport that are quite large, and future aspirations in other championships and bits and bobs. So it's a exciting opportunity for me to be involved with and help out and use my knowledge of driving touring cars, driving cars that I've driven previous, developing cars from new, developing cars that are not as well set up as maybe they should be or to someone's liking. So yeah, that's kind of my role there. We were down at Brands Hatch yesterday at our second test day with four 4 touring cars out, and yeah, another good productive day, and excited for the opportunity and trying to maybe not restart my career because it got restarted last year competing again, but trying to continue the British touring car dream.
Yeah, and still with hopes and aspirations of that full-time drive.
Absolutely. Yeah, we couldn't secure a drive this year. Budgetary requirements, bits and bobs, and all the other bits that get involved with it. So the opportunity came from Alliance or Napa Racing UK as well, and to kind of get involved with what's going on over there.
And Napa have gone crazy in the UK.
They've made a name for themselves in the market, and what they're doing in the British Touring Car Championship is pretty special. They joined, and within, I think they've won every team's championship since they've joined, 4 years on the bounce or something. They've won the overall championship with Ashley Sutton. They're doing special things. The outfits are an impressive one. The trucks, the cars, the hospitality, the personnel.
Outside of touring
it's another
cars,
level.
Outside of touring cars as well. Obviously, they've put a stamp on the country as Napa, because if you're like me and you're from the motor industry, all of a sudden the vans have changed colour and the brands coming over the counter are different. But they've gone in. Even like something I'm a dirt oval guy. There's a Napa sponsored Formula 1 stock car in the hands of Jack France. There's the name just keeps appearing, and it looks like they're here to stay and bring what's a massive American motorsport love to the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it must be pretty exciting for you to be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. You see their presence in America. They've got the NASCAR, they've got dirt cars, they've got all sorts over there. So we're excited to see what the Napa Racing UK side of things can be, and hopefully it's a bit of a reboot to my career in this year, leading into the future and other series. But mainly for me, it's the British Touring Car Championship. That's the aspiration, to stay there. So that's kind of the main goal at the minute.
So final question: are we likely to see young Procky any Autograss meetings this year taking part? Or
I toyed with the idea of doing nationals, but now I'm busy.
Right, okay.
Just because it was a border counties, like we spoke about earlier. Different track, but it's still border counties. It'll be roughly the same. In a Class 3. Whether I do anything, I don't know. The schedule's full at the minute. I've got maybe a couple of other circuit racing opportunities of bits and bobs that might be filling up the calendar as well. So yeah, Autograss will always hold a special place in my heart, and it's a fantastic sport and motor racing category that I enjoy competing in. But it's on hold again at the minute.
Yeah.
When I had my time out of the British touring cars, it was the first thing I looked at, because it's such a unique challenge. It's on dirt, it's an oval, it's not tarmac, it's not a squiggly circuit, let's say. It's so different, and it was such a unique challenge to try and do. I knew a lot of people there as well, but it was something totally different for me to get my teeth back into. It's not easy either, is it? It's not easy. I've definitely learned that. I won't say the hard way, but it's not easy. Every championship you go to in the UK isn't easy. In whether it's Autograss, whether it's circuit racing, there's the top performers in their class in anything that anyone does, and they are hard to beat because they're at the top of the game. They've done it for years, or they've spent more time doing it than you. And I think you've got to be invested what you're doing. And when I was grass tracking, I switched my full focus. I'm grass tracking now, so my full focus is grass tracking. So you switch the focus, you try perform at the high level, you try do the 7 o'clock track walks, you try get out the car and look at the track, you try, get in and do the best job you can. So at the minute, the focus has switched back to my circuit racing career, but I'm sure I'll definitely, if it's not this year, I'll definitely be back at some point.
Brilliant. Well, it will be a pleasure to see you back at some point, hopefully with the full family in tow.
Yeah, they'll be in tow.
So thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us again on another edition, another jumbo edition, nearly 2 hours long, with our very own Senna Proctor. Again, massive thank you to all our sponsors. Still got Monster Energy on board. I need you to like, share, subscribe, really important. Leave your comments, leave your questions for the next edition. There is multiple editions coming up between now and the National Championships, and then something very special coming up after the Nationals. So stay tuned in, stay subscribed, and we'll see you all again soon.